Bible records that even Zechariah was stoned for telling the people that they had forsaken the Lord. Isaiah, according to tradition, died because he was sawn in half. Elijah said that he was going to be slain with the prophets. Some live like vagabonds, just wandering from one place to the other. But see, that's what happens sometimes when you serve God. Even Jesus said that when you say you're going to follow me, you need to know what's all involved, because the foxes have holes and the birds of the air, they got a nest. He said, but the Son of Man have nowhere to lay his head. Sometimes on this journey, you're going to get to a point where you ain't got nothing to call your own. But as long as I can call on Jesus, I've got a home prepared in heaven. It was Jesus that said, let not your heart be troubled. He said, you believe in God, believe also in me. What you saying, Jesus? In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. He said, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I'm going to come again and receive you under myself, that where I am, there you might be also. I'm not worried about having a place down here as long as I got a place up there. I'm not worried about when I'll lay my head down here, but I'll walk the streets of gold up there. When you understand about faith, you know it ain't about what you see, but it's about what I can't see. What I see is temporal, but what I can't see is eternal. I ain't ever been to heaven, but when I read my Bible, it gives me a description of a place that I sure enough want to go. And just the description that John got was like something that we had never seen before. I mean, I look at the Grand Canyon in all the splendor of its glory, and how you look down that great chasm and see the beauty and the wonder of this natural architecture. But when I think about heaven, and John says that there are going to be 3 gates in the east, there are going to be 3 gates in the west, there are going to be 3 gates in the north, and 3 gates in the south. And he said there are going to be some pearly gates. I think that's better than the Grand Canyon. I've never been to the Bahamas, but I've talked to countless people who said they went over there and looked at some sand that was so white and pretty, and as they stepped their toes down into the sand and started to grip with the baby toe and the big toe, it just felt so good to them. But then I saw in John's description about heaven that there was a street that was like unto pure gold, that was like transparent glass. He said there was a throne there, right there in the midst of the city, and a crystal fountain ran from the midst of it. On each side of the fountain there was a tree of life that bore 12 manner of fruit, and the leaves were used for the healing of the nations. Heaven is better than any place down here, and so it's through faith that we're going to make it. I don't care what you're going through tonight, just hold on to your faith. I don't care how much they talk about you, just hold on to your faith. I don't care what they say behind your back, just hold on to your faith. Let them talk, let them walk out on you when you need them the most. Just keep your hand in God's hand. Just keep your eyes on the prize. And one of these old days, Jesus is coming back, y'all. When it comes down on the cloud, I'm going to rise up to go with him, and I'm going to be with him forever, because I held on to my faith. I can say like Paul, I hadn't always been ready to be offered, but I am right now, and the time of my departure is at hand. I fought a good fight. I finished my course. I carried say yes to him and go to the world. The reward is sweeter, and it's going to get sweeter as the days go by. Just to be with him. To be with him. That's what we have. Through faith. Now you ain't gonna get that on your own, bro. You gotta do it by faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence what I cannot see. One of the greatest secular definitions of hope I ever discovered in my life came from a show called Family Matters. Y'all remember Urkel? Love me some Urkel. Little old nerdy boy. Smart as he could be. Loved him some Laura. Urkel loved him some Laura, bro. Urkel was crazy about him some Laura. And he said, Laura didn't care about no nerdy Urkel. She didn't want him. But she said, Steve, year after year, you ask me and you chase me. And I'm never going to be yours. Why do you continue to ask? Urkel said, Laura, my sweet. Laura, my sweet. He says, my love for you is like a man reaching for the star. He knows that he'll never put his hand on that star. But yes, the thought that he might is what keeps him reaching. Now that's a secular definition of hope. Biblically, hope is the expectation of things getting better. It means what is will not always be. What I am experiencing is going to come to an end. And it is my belief in that keeps me going, keeps me reaching, keeps me running, keeps me praying, keeps me stable. Everybody else is running off and leaving the Lord. It keeps me right here. You know, folk do leave the Lord. Yes, they do too leave the Lord. And they'll drag you with them if you ain't careful. John chapter 6, the Lord was preaching, and he was preaching hard. The disciples said, Lord, they were offended at what you said. And the Bible even says from that time, many, not a few, many of his disciples no longer walk with him. The Lord didn't try to water down the doctrine of the kingdom. He didn't try to preach something different to appease the crowd. He looked at him and said, will you also go away? Y'all want to walk too? Hello? That's when Peter said, to whom shall we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life. Don't wait that nobody. Can't nobody do us like you do us. Can't nobody teach us like you teach us. Where we going? Ain't going nowhere. I'm staying right here with him. And that's what you have to do. And it's through faith that you're going to be able to do that. Sometimes our faith becomes weak. Sometimes our faith starts to waver. But we need to be more consistent in our study of God's word. The Bible still says, I don't know if you read it lately, but it still says in Romans 10:17, faith cometh by hearing. Did y'all catch that? Faith cometh. That word cometh, E-T-H, in the King James. And King James had his translators add the suffix E-T-H to indicate a continual action. Faith continues to come by hearing. The more you hear, the more faith you have. Did you catch it? Did you catch it? So when I stop hearing,